I do apologize for being a little bit late on the start of the meeting, but I want to welcome you this evening to the December 14th, 2022 regular meeting of the Governing Board of the Chandler Unified School District. Mrs. Nye, could you start with our roll call, please? Here?
Here.
Here? Here?
Here.
Thank you. Would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We have some routine business to go through first, and our first item is to approve the minutes of the November 16th, 2022 regular board meeting. Could I get a motion, please?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the November 16th, 2022 regular board meeting as presented.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Joel?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have to approve and ratify payroll and the accounts payable vouchers. May I please get a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve and ratify payroll and accounts payable vouchers.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving and ratifying payroll and accounts payable vouchers, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Narducci, is there any correspondence for us this evening?
Madam President, members of the board, there's none at this time.
Okay, thank you. This evening we have Selena Foe from Perry High, who's going to let us know what's going on at Perry.
Good evening. My name is Selena Foe, and I am the student body president at Perry High School. I am extremely grateful and honored to be able to speak to Superintendent Narducci, Madam President, members of the board, as well as the entire school district. Over the past 2 quarters, many events and activities have occurred on our campus that I would love to share with you tonight. To kick off the school year, Link Crew members held their annual freshman orientation, where upperclassmen introduced the class of 2026 to the school spirit and high energy that Perry has. While in costumes, leaders led icebreaker games, bonding activities, and toured the freshmen around the campus, preparing them for the first day of school. In addition, Perry Stugo spent the first Friday taping up over 3,000 personalized welcome back calls in the cafeteria, all to welcome the students to the new school year. The council held our annual themed welcome back dance, this year being the Wild West. We filled the gym with decorations that included a giant bull, a wanted sign, and a Wild West backdrop. In August, the senior class had a bonding experience on the football field, watching the sunrise as we started the school year. Perry, along with many other schools, traveled to Basha High School for the AASC Spirit Conference. This year, it was themed The Road to Leadership, and Perry dressed up as the Emerald City. Each council member had matching shirts along with green accessories. In club news, NHS hosted their annual blood drive and had 62 donations to Vitamin. For the first time, Puma Pals planned a tailgate for the unified flag football team. Texas Roadhouse catered the event while other snacks and desserts were served before the game. Throughout the game, football, swim and dive, Stugo, and other fans cheered on the team as they played against the Chandler Wolves. With a large amount of support, the Perry Pumas came out with a huge win. The Perry Early Childhood Chapter of Family Career and Community Leaders of America attended a statewide chapter leadership campus on September 28th through September 30th at Lost Canyon in Williams, Arizona. 9 Perry students spent those days networking with other Arizona chapters, competing in field games and brainstorming for the upcoming competition season. They had a great time and hope to attend next year. In October, Stugo planned a Heart of the Jungle themed homecoming for the student body. First, we decorated the hallways, transforming them to the jungle. The following week, there were many events like Spirit Week, Carnival, Parade, and an assembly. Each day, students dressed up to the theme, showing their school spirit. On Tuesday, we invited families and students to enjoy our annual carnival. The courtyard was filled with games, inflatables, and food. On Thursday, during conference, we had parade floats for each class and invited certain clubs to walk down the bus lane as the student body cheered in excitement. Then on Friday, Stugo had an early morning setting up for the first assembly of the year. We had performances from our Moveo, Palm, and Cheer team along with many games to hype up the student body for our homecoming dance. Finally, at the end of the week, we held the Heart of the Jungle dance on Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. The council spent countless hours transforming the hallway and gym into an Indiana Jones jungle, preparing the school for a long night of dancing. In athletic news, Batman had a 14-0 regular season, first team in state power rankings, and the state runner-up. Premier Region champions Robin Bowie, Amia Hernandez were the state doubles runner-up. Vienna Morley and On Lee made it to the state doubles semifinals, and Emma James made it to the state singles semifinals. Boys cross country placed 17th at state, and their top finisher was Roan Milner, who was 47th. Girls cross country placed 4th at state. Individual state medalist Bella Scaller and was 13th, and Alexis Pagel was 16th. Both were named All-State Second Team. Brian Eidelman was All-CUSD Coach of the Year. Boys golf placed 8th at state, and their top finisher was Joe Hogden, who placed 16th. Girls golf placed 7th at state, and their top finisher was Gabrielle Cohn, who placed 13th. Girls swim and dive placed 8th at state. Hannah Ernst was state runner-up in the 100 backstroke. Haley Mueller was 4th in the 100 backstroke, and Samantha Hill was 4th in dive. Girls volleyball had a 14-3 regular season and were state semifinalists. Avery Burks was named All-6A Conference First Team, All-Region Offensive Player of the Year, and All-COSD Player of the Year. Unified Football had a 5-1 regular season and were featured on a special segment on PBS. Winter sports are also off and rolling, and here are some highlights so far. Boys basketball is undefeated and won the Gilbert Welcome to the Jungle tournament. Koa Pete was named the #1 player in Arizona by Max Preps, and the team is ranked number 23 in the nation. Girls basketball is undefeated in regular season play, and Camille Pierre was named the #1 player in Arizona by Max Preps. Boys soccer is undefeated in regular season play, and they played in the Campo Verde Coyote Classic tournament over the weekend, making it to the finals. They played against Campo Verde and won 1-0, making them champs of the tournament. Girls soccer is also undefeated and played in the Campo Verde Coyote Classic and played against Queen Creek, coming out with a 5-0 win, making them champs of the tournament. Boys wrestling is undefeated in regular season matches, and they competed at the Nate Johnson Memorial Invite last weekend at Red Mountain. They also successfully hosted the John Carlson Invite over Thanksgiving. Girls wrestling is competing hard at every match and has increased their numbers from 3 wrestlers to 11 this year. Cheer has begun their competition season and placed first in show cheer and game day and is qualified for nationals in Florida. Palm has also begun their competition season and placed in the top 5 and qualified for nationals in Florida. And lastly, Unified Soccer is having a great season and just recently played their last game. For a few months, our very own drama club had many rehearsals to prepare for the production of Mamma Mia. With 3 full days of performing, the cast put on a wonderful show and had an amazing time. In the same week, our council participated in a fundraising competition against Basha Stugo. With multiple fundraising opportunities like Blue 32 Night and Rafa Tea coming to our school, we were able to raise over $300 for JDRF. On the morning of the Battle of Val Vista game, the council had planned a small pep assembly. Before school, the football team and other students joined us with the main attraction of hair dyeing and music from our band. Students were thrilled for the game. The following week, students showed school spirit by dressing up to the Spirit Weekdays and then attended the Winter Assembly, where we introduced the winter sports team. Just this past week, Stugo hosted the Smiles for the Season event, inviting 30 students from Hartford, Galveston, and Humphrey Elementary, and hoped to throw a Christmas that every kid would wish for. With many activities like inflatables, cookie decorating, a candy bar, a hot chocolate station, a train ride, and snow, students were entertained for hours. We ended the day off with a special appearance from Santa, who delivered gifts to each student. At the end of the week, Moveo and Advanced Dance produced their annual winter concert. They spent countless hours rehearsing and perfecting each dance for this year's night at the Grammys. With over 15 performances, friends and families came out to support. Throughout the school year, in an effort to help our students with mental health and substance use prevention, we are advising several programs, one being 4 assemblies this year related to mental health and substance use prevention through Not My Kid. Our first assembly was in September on healthy online interactions. Our second one was this month on teen mental health. In February, we'll have an assembly on substance misuse, and another one in April on transitions helping students cope with change, transitioning into a new school year or beyond to college, and providing hope for these transitions. We are also offering peer mentoring through Not My Kid to our students for free. We are one of the first schools in Arizona to pilot teen youth mental health first aid. And to end the night, I would like to now take the time to introduce the 2022-2023 Perry Student Government. I have had the pleasure to get to know each member over this past semester, and I cannot wait to continue the school year with them. Starting off with our student body officers, Student Body Vice President Maddie Balberin, Student Body Secretary Austin Klaus, Student Body Historian Clara Harris, Student Body Treasurer Daniel Johnson, Student Body Spirit Coordinator Ellie Boyd, Student Body Publicity Manager Yumi Chan, and Student Body Parliamentarian Tommy Spencer. Senior Class President Patrick Duffy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Senior Class Vice President Denise Ferrer. Senior Class Secretary Madeline Monker. Senior Class Historian Ella Delfos. Senior Class Treasurer Taylor Van Berkel. Senior Class Spirit Coordinator Jack Smith. Junior Class President Emily Hastings. Junior Class Vice President Allison Rose. Junior Class Secretary Caden Beeman. Junior Class Treasurer Bree Pryor. Junior Class Spirit Coordinator Allie Jex. Junior Class Publicity Manager Nadia Shevkovi. Sophomore Class President Bella Diaz. Sophomore Class Vice President Julia Fountain. Sophomore Class Historian Emma Balberin. Sophomore Class Treasurer Miranda Ferrer. Sophomore Class Spirit Coordinator Sonia Clavel. Sophomore Class Publicity Manager Tiffany Nguyen. Sophomore Class Representative Mackenzie Cole. And Sophomore Class Representative Harper Mary. Freshman Class President Mia Dutt. Freshman Class Vice President Aubrey Merriweather. Freshman Class Secretary Alexia Heaton. Freshman Class Treasurer Ayla Albert. Freshman Class Spirit Coordinator Riley Beetler. Freshman Class Publicity Manager Brianna Betdeme. And Freshman Class Representative Topher Watson. And last but not least, I would like to thank and introduce our advisor, Ms. Johnson. I would also like to give a shout out to our principal, Mrs. Patterson. Our events would not be as successful as they are without the support of our admin.
Before you go, I would like to say thank you for being a part of Student Council. You provide leadership at your school. You provide great ideas and innovation and have a lot of things to do for the students. And we truly appreciate you helping make that high school experience wonderful for everyone. So thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next, we're going to have some student athlete awards. Stephanie Ingersoll, our Executive Director of Marketing and Communication, will introduce the school teams, and the coaches will introduce players who won individual awards.
Thank you, Madam President. First, we have the ACP badminton team coached by Andrea Giberson, and Principal Robert Bix will introduce them. Do you want to say a couple things about the team?
Oh, thank you. Well, good evening. I am not the coach, obviously. Andy Giberson is our coach, and she unfortunately cannot be here. She's sick this evening, so I am introducing our badminton team on her behalf. This is an exciting season for ACP badminton. Not only did they bring home a state championship, but they're the first athletic team in school history to bring home a state title. So it was a history-making season all around. And I have a reputation at ACP that I always am very bad at remembering names, and they all will know that. So I'm going to cheat a little bit so I don't mess anybody up this evening. But I do want to recognize and congratulate the ladies on a fantastic job. We have Ashley Yang, Fatima Ahmed, Sumita Bawali, Abby Ayer, and Haley Hughes.
Next, we have ACP Chess, coached by Craig May.
Greetings, everybody. So this is an amazing group of boys and girls. Well, we do have girls in the club, but they're not up here. And they came and they dominated and they won every single game. They are undefeated all the way through, even through the postseason. This is your ACP chess team. I'd like to introduce them. We've got Kevin, Jaden, Drew, Amadan, Matthew, and Samek. Give them a round of applause.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you, Arizona College Prep. Next, we have Arizona College Prep Swim and Dive, coaches Kristen Nelson and Carson Sundem.
Good evening. We got a pretty large team here. This is our partial boys team. I just want to thank you guys for inviting us this evening. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the recognition as our girls team follows. We had a great season. We were undefeated completely through our regular season. Then we went on to have a great postseason as well at state with obviously coming home with 2 state champion teams and multiple individual state champions as well. To introduce, we have Ethan Rural, Yassine Hag, we have Yuvi Minhas, we have Rishi Kishore, Jeremiah Boyer, Ian Kung, Aaron Lim, Jesse Wu, Eric Lee, Justin Lee, and Cohen Gonzalez.
And then continuing with the girls, we have Ashlyn Tierney, Adia Peterson, state champion in the 100 butterfly, Sailor Debnam, Captain Clarice Nguyen, Grace Burns holding our trophy, Andrea May Sue, Nadava Yazi, Mackenzie Foth, Mackenzie Mitchell, that one was easy, Abby Lawrence, Ella Roy, and our wonderful team manager, Angelina Ravelli, and our dive coach who had 2nd year in a row dive champion, Coach Charlie Pavlak, who we love. We're just really proud of this team. Some of these kids worked 4 years for this, and we're just so excited. On to next year.
Awesome. Congratulations. Next, we have Castile Swim. Congratulations. 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 Castile Swim, coached by Leo Haas.
Like, I didn't want to walk in alone. That'd be a lot of pressure. All right. Thank you guys for having us here. These are our 2 state champions from this year. They're the epitome of, they're the rocks of our team. We're super excited that they're here and won 2 state titles for our team. This is Bailey Sloan and August Betch, and they're both not even seniors yet. So we're excited for what's to come, and we're just happy you guys had us here. And a quick story about Bailey is she actually broke her arm at the start of the year, and she had an awesome comeback and was still able to win her event. So I think that's just extraordinary, and that's kind of what our whole team is about. So thank you.
Next, we have Hamilton High School Girls Golf, coached by Jackie Walker.
I'd also like to introduce my assistant coach, Coach Jessie Stone. She volunteered with us last year, and we were able to come up with a small stipend for her this year, a pretty invaluable part of our squad. Thank you. This has been a pretty amazing year, last couple of years actually. I have a fairly young squad. I have 1 senior, Jenny, wearing the UCLA lanyard, will be going to UCLA next year. So yeah, she's pretty amazing. The girls had some ups and downs throughout the year, but they found a way to pull it out, and beating Xavier was just the sweetest gift ever. We also had an exciting finish. We have the state champion and the state runner-up. So Jenny Seau and Angela Chen actually had to play off against each other at the end of our match. They had a playoff hole, and it was super fun. And they're both great sports and great teammates. I'd like to introduce Flora Tao, Advika Manny Van An, Quincy Platt, Laura Seau, Jennifer Seau, and Angela Chen.
And we do have another team that is out there. We have Hamilton Swim by Coach Mike Peterson. Congratulations. Thank you for coming. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Must be something about swimmers and broken body parts. Ian is our comeback kid. Ian Pickles won the 100-yard freestyle this year. 14 months ago, he shattered his ankle. They put in steel plates and screws to hold it back together. Last year at state, he got 9th place. And this year, everything was working just right, and he actually had to defeat the defending champion in the 100, which he did. So he is an outstanding swimmer. And this is really, it's just the beginning for him. He is going to University of Texas next year. And if you know anything about swimming, they are the defending NCAA champions. So he'll work out every day of the week with, national champions and the best swimmers in the world. So, Ian Pickles.
Next, we will go on to our citizen comments. Stephanie Ingersoll will be.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Narducci. As a courtesy, we provide an opportunity for the public to submit citizen comments electronically on any topic. This week, we had comments pertaining to 2 topics, school administration and governing board. Board members, you have the submissions verbatim. The
And
first,
Stephanie, our speakers will have 3 minutes. We have 8 of them, but I actually think our 6th speaker already spoke she was the president from Perry.
yes, I see that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Our first speaker is Kurt Roars to speak on competition.
Thank you. My name is Kurt Roars. I'm a parent in this district. I'm also leading the election for incoming school board members. I'm here to speak to you tonight about competing. The district now exists in a competitive environment for student enrollment, parental interest, and state funding. There are those that shy away from these competitive concerns and insist on special protections for their own self-interest. It is disappointing to consider that they may not have the confidence in their abilities or the motivation to be recognized as the best educational choice available to our families. I would encourage the district to send a clear message that they intend to compete vigorously for the opportunity to educate the children of our community. We should be setting the highest standards of educational quality. We should not be concerned as much with competing with other educational alternative choices, but rather have them be concerned with competing with us. Competition has driven several valuable innovations in our district. It has made us much better. Among those programs are all-day kindergarten, the Chandler Traditional Academies, the Gifted Academy Elementary Schools, the Chandler Academically Talented Students, the CATS program in elementary schools, accelerated middle schools, college prep middle school and high schools, the International Baccalaureate programs at all school levels, science, technology, arts, and mathematics in middle school programs, Project Lead the Way STEM programs, a cybersecurity academy, a biotech academy, the Chandler Online Academy, an elite performance academy, dual college credit programs, Chandler Early College program, and college engineering programs. There are also several other innovative programs I would like to encourage the district to develop. A Chandler Technology Institute that pulls together all the technology programs the district offers, an education professional academy that prepares students to go into the teaching profession, a construction and trade academy for students interested in trade school certificates and apprenticeships and construction careers, and a healthcare institute that develops a pathway for students to obtain certificates for various healthcare careers. All these programs should be closely coordinated with other educational institutions such as Chandler Gilbert Community College, East Valley Institute of Technology, known as EVIT, and Arizona universities to provide enhancement and continuation of career pathways for our students while they are with us and after they graduate. The district should be willing to shamelessly borrow any good idea available. In addition, these efforts can be adapted to evening adult education programs that serve the rest of the community that should draw interest and support from local city and county governments. In conclusion, I challenge the district to compete for students' interest, to compete for parent support, to compete for the best teachers and staff, and compete for program funding. There is no reason this district should not be, indisputably, the best district in the state and also recognized as one of the best districts in the country. Thank you.
The next speaker is Claire McCartan to thank a board member.
Hello, good evening. My name is Claire. I am a recent graduate from Hamilton High School, and I have been in the district since kindergarten. I never was interested in attending board meetings until my sophomore year of high school, which was the beginning of COVID-19. From then on, I watched possibly every one I could. When I had concerns, I emailed the board, and Board Member Love was the only one to respond. Board Member Love truly cared about our students and our staff during this difficult time, but also all the times in between. She not only brought the facts to every decision, but also how this would emotionally and socially impact our students. I'm so sad to see Board Member Lindsay leave the diocese, but I'm excited for our future as we have a great woman to fill her spot. From all the students, staff, and parents in this district, I want to thank Board Member Love for all the work she has done and will continue to do for our district. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jacob Marson, to subject Lindsay Love, thanking her for her service to the district.
Madam President, members of the board, my name is Jacob Marson. I've attended more of these meetings than I'm willing to admit, but this is my first address. And I'm going to make my remarks to the remarkable woman, Board Member Love. I'm standing here today because of Lindsay Love and the leadership values she's instilled in me. When little junior me had ideas to make this district a better place for all students, Ms. Love was the one supporting me and ensured I was being heard at the district level. When I was representing Hamilton High School as an elected leader in student government, it was Ms. Love who ensured I had what I needed to be successful in my school and continue Hamilton High's legacy of being Arizona's premier high school. Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, a speaker at this very podium I'm standing at went on an anti-Semitic rant, blaming the Jews for profiting off the COVID-19 vaccine. The next day, I emailed every single board member sitting up on this dais right now, voicing my concerns over the lack of pushback on that dangerous, hateful comment. I heard back from one member, and that was Ms. Love. A target was put on every Jewish student that night when that comment was made, and Ms. Love was the only one out of the 5 of you that could respond to a student who felt that their safety was at risk by attending a CUSD school. And when I nervously walked across the stage to deliver my graduation speech, it was Ms. Love who gave me the look of reassurance and the look of someone who had my back. And then finally, when I left CUSD and I received my diploma on graduation night, it was Ms. Love who shook my right hand and gave me my diploma in my left. This community is better because of the work of Ms. Love. She included students, especially ones who are often left out of the conversation. What this community loses by you leaving cannot be put into words, but what this community gained from your leadership can be put into one single word: pride. I am proud to be a CUSD alumni because of you. A board member of Chandler Unified School District is just a title you had for 4 years, but what you did with that title will have an impact on students for the rest of their lives. Board member Lindsay Love, thank you for being a leader, a mentor, a resource, and above all, a friend.
The next comment is from Francesca Martin, thanking a board member.
Good evening. My name is Francesca Martin. I graduated from Chandler Unified School District earlier this year in 2022, while I began attending school in this district since kindergarten. During my years in high school, I began to watch my school district's board meeting as I began to learn how much of a direct impact school boards have on students. The one person sitting on the board that I noticed stood up for the best interest of students in the district the most was Lindsay Love. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, I watched as some pushed to send students back into school prematurely, where students could spread the disease at high rates as if schools are isolated communities and not a part of the larger Chandler community as a whole. It was Lindsay Love who understood what sending students and teachers back meant and had their safety and best interest in mind before making things go back to normal at a time where we were anywhere but normal by advocating to find the best solutions possible for many of the problems the district faced at the time. Lindsay has showed she makes an effort to listen to students, whether it be over concerns of mental health or other issues in the district, instead of disregarding students' concerns, like many do with the mindset that students are too young to have an opinion. She makes so many people feel heard and always makes an effort to respond to those who have concerns in the district. She's also made an effort to make the district welcoming and inclusive for everybody in the community, especially those who are marginalized. When anti-Semitic remarks were made at the school board meeting, she stood firmly and strongly against it. When AZ Equality Schools brought up concerns regarding the treatment of LGBTQ+ students in the district, she listened to them and has promoted initiatives that attempt to stop the hate targeted towards students. She has truly shown what it means to be a leader, a community advocate, and a school board member, and I cannot appreciate her serving on this board enough. Thank you, Board Member Love, for all you have done and continue to do.
The next speaker is Diane Lundahl to give a thank you.
Good evening to everybody up on the dais tonight, and also to everyone sitting in the audience tonight. I'm here as well to thank both school board members, Ms. Bruner and Ms. Love, for their years of service and support. I'm here as a CEA member, I'm here as a parent, I'm here as a teacher at Hamilton High School. I'm also here as a friend, and I recognize that both of you put your time, your effort, and your love into this job, and I think you are role models for many people that are in this room. I congratulate you on your last meeting and on more free Wednesdays, and I'm sure that just means you're going to work harder, unfortunately, knowing both of you. I would like to recall just a memory I have with Ms. Bruner first. We're always so busy, and she takes the time to come to the schools and visit and put out emails. I'll be in the cafeteria, I'll be in the teacher's lounge, and we're always too busy to go. And I remember it being like 3 o'clock one afternoon, school bell had rung 45 minutes before, and I'm sitting at my desk grading, and somebody comes knocking at my door. And that was really special to me, for you to come to us, like even though you went there for us to come to you, to take that time and sit in my classroom and talk to me and ask questions. It's something I'll never forget, and it made me really appreciate what you do here and what you all do here as school board members. I would like to especially thank Ms. Love, though, because as another student mentioned before, she always took the time to do her research, ma'am. And I know that she brought forth questions that didn't even come to play in the discussion or the preparation for this meeting for many other members. She took the time to do the research. She was never hesitant to take a stand and be the dissenting vote, even though it did not make her the most popular person on this dais. Despite threats to her safety, despite threats to her life, despite snide remarks from members sitting to her side, she always stood up for what she felt was right and supported us the best she can. And when I say us, that includes me as a parent and other parents. It includes me as a teacher and other teachers. It includes me as a CEA member and many members. And I really thank both of you for always supporting our community. We're gonna miss you, but I'm gonna really remember what you've done for us and
30
hold
seconds.
other members to that standard. So thank you very much, and enjoy your member retirement.
The next speaker is Lisa Calderon, Appreciation of Board Member Love.
Good evening, Superintendent Narducci, governing board members, and community. My name is Lisa. I am a first-time speaker. I have been here before, but first time speaking. I want to first say a few things. I am a mother to 4 daughters, 1 who has graduated, 3 currently attending, a junior, a senior, and a 5th grader. I would like to take the opportunity to express my gratitude and appreciation for Ms. Love. Why am I getting emotional? Sorry. So reflecting back, in February of 2020, I was honored as an outstanding volunteer for 2 schools, Conley Elementary and Bogle Junior High. But that was not a highlight for me. What the highlight was seeing Miss Love on stage, giving me my kudos, as she was an elected member and first time representing a part of our student population that never had representation on a governing board. Representation matters, and you have served our community well. Thank you for speaking truth and making students a focus. We appreciate you. You are a valued member of the community. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, for doing the work, and we value you. Thank you.
The last speaker is Jackie Starks. Thank you, Lindsay Love.
You know, Lindsay, I could just say ditto what everybody else said because it's there, but there are 3 things that really stand out. Number 1 is that you chose not to just be a butt in a seat. You chose to do things that mattered. So as you heard from the students, you made a difference that matters. It is difficult in the state of Arizona to be a Black woman on a school board. Think about how many just left. They gave up because of the pressures, because of the threats. Even with all that, you chose to stay because you knew that it was important to the students, the parents, and the community, especially to the community of Black students who had somebody to look to, who knew that I have a place to go that will make a difference. I have a person who will care about me. And that was so important. And you took a lot of licking, and I appreciate that. And thank you so much. Yeah.
I want to thank everyone who came out this evening and spoke to us. I know Lindsay and Laura, Lindsay especially, you had a lot of support out there, and it's emotional. So we will now move on to our consent agenda, and that will be presented by Mr. Narducci.
Thank you, Madam President. Out-of-state student pre-planning, an out-of-state field trip pre-planning form for Basha High School, Castile High School, Chandler High School, Hamilton High School, and Perry High School are provided. Following the governing board pre-approval, we'll monitor trip arrangements before providing final approval. On monetary gifts, we request approval of the monetary gifts generously donated to Chandler schools totaling $75,599.55. Under donations, request approval of the items generously donated to COSD totaling $25,842.34. Under Dish Network LLC at Perry High School, the district has reached a lease agreement with Dish Network LLC for them to construct a cell tower on the existing southeast light pole of the stadium at Perry High School. The terms of the lease agreement are 1 day less than 20 years, with rent being $30,000 per year, increased at 3% per year. We recommend approval of the lease agreement with Dish Network at Perry High School. Under Community School Services, a request for proposal was issued for Chandler Unified School District for Community School Services. The RFP was posted on AZ Publishing, and a total of 333 vendors, were notified, and 3 vendors responded. The committee of 5 evaluators evaluated the responses based upon the evaluation criteria, and we request governing board approval for the award of RFP 87-23-27, Community School Services to Higher Ground, a resource center for the 22-23 fiscal year. A summary of the evaluation was provided. The award vendor will work with COSD existing multi-tiered system of support, which is our MTSS system, implementing a community school framework. The MTSS team provides a level of support necessary for students to be successful academically and behaviorally. Tier 1 efforts address the needs of all students, and Tier 2 and Tier 3 efforts address students that need additional assistance. The district is requesting board approval in the amount of $210,000. And this pilot will be held at Willis Junior High School. 7.06, 1I GPA contract. The district is seeking approval to utilize 1GA GPA contract 20-01 PV-08 for Yellowstone landscape with estimated expenditures of $300,000 for the 22-23 school year. The contract will be utilized for custodial, grounds, and maintenance and services district-wide. Under I-1 GPA contract 22-12P02, the board approved the use of this contract award to Biddle and Brown Fence Company on September 14th, 2022, with estimated expenditures of $750,000. The district is requesting approval to increase the total amount to $1,500,000 for additional fencing projects that may be completed at Riggs Elementary, Payne Junior High, during the remainder of the 22-23 school year. Save contract 76-18-22. The board approved this contract for student travel and group tours with estimated spending of $500,000 on June 22nd, 2022. The contract expired on October 31st, 2022. Requesting board approval to utilize the new Save contract 107-23-27 for student travel and group tours with estimated expenditures of $500,000 for the 22-23 school year, so for the same amount. Gifted education scope and sequence, number 7.09, per ARS 15.799.02, Chandler Unified School District must have a current governing Board and Arizona Department of Education approved scope of sequence for gifted education students. Approved scope and sequence plans are required every 5 years. We recommend approval of the attached scope and sequence. Under 7.10, junior high course catalogs for the 23-27 school year, the draft of the 23-24 junior high course catalog and a summary of the recommended course additions and removals from the previous school year is provided. The catalog was presented for information at the November 16th, 2022 board meeting. We recommend approval. Under 7.11, high school course catalog 23-24, the draft of the 23-24 high school course was also a summary of recommended course additions are provided, and the catalog was presented for information at the November 16th, 2022 board meeting. A summary of recommended course additions to the 24-25 school course catalog is also provided. We recommend approval. Revised CUSD and ASU Prep Digital MOU for the 22-23 school year. We request approval of the revised Memorandum of Understanding between Chandler Unified School District and ASU Digital Prep. This agreement allows CUSD to access digital course licensing, teacher training, leadership support, and ongoing coaching. The total cost for the first and second semester for all services is $0. That's no money at all. We definitely recommend approval. IGA CUSD International Tech Alliance Contract 7.13. Chandler Unified School District is partnering with International Alliance Group in a contract to attract diverse candidates for hard-to-fill positions. Candidates would be hosted on a one-year contract as part of an exchange teacher program. IAG will provide candidates that are fluent in Spanish and meet certification requirements for each position. This contract has undergone a legal review. We recommend approval of the contract with International Teach Alliance. And number 7.14, Human Resources, we recommend the employment separation and compensation attached.
Thank you, Mr. Narducci. Could I please get a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
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 The motion carries. Next, we will move on to our action items, and our first one is approval of an I-20 tuition amount for fiscal year 23-24. Let me see who I am. Mrs. Berry.
All right. Madam President, members of the board, the children of non-residents of this country, documented as I-20 students, may be admitted upon payment of a reasonable tuition fixed by the governing board under revised statute 15-823A. In the past, the governing board set tuition for incoming I-20 students using a method that determines the cost per student. This formula or methodology took into consideration the Maintenance and Operations Fund, the Classroom Site Fund, Unrestricted Capital Outlay Fund, Federal and State Projects Fund, Food Service Fund, and other pertinent funds divided by the total student count to establish a tuition price per I-20 student. After applying the same methodology and formula from the past and updated numbers due to inflation and the restoration of district additional assistance, administration is recommending the fiscal year 23-24 tuition rate be adjusted to $9,248. A couple questions came up, and I thought they were great questions. This isn't for our exchange students. This is for students who are on an educational visa who are coming over specifically to attend for numerous reasons. And so it was started about a decade ago. A couple of our high schools have participated in that. It's just we want to make sure we're updating that dollar amount for tuition. During COVID, there wasn't a lot of students. There was a drop in that with the students being accepted over here through those educational visas. And now that they're back attending our schools, we want to make sure we've updated that number and we've got the right contracts in place.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. Could I please get a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve tuition rates for I-20 students at $9,248 for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mrs. Berry? Mrs. Berry, approximately how many students do we usually get annually? I know COVID, omitting the two COVID years.
I think we usually have less than 10, but I think there might be up to 15 or so this year.
Okay, and how do these students, I guess, find us, or are there, I gather virtually all of them, of course, are going to have to be minors, so are their parents coming here, or do they stay with a host family type situation, or?
So usually they actually seek out usually a company who helps them find a school that is eligible and has went through the paperwork. So Fred Dupree started this a long time ago with Dr. Gilbert through Hamilton High School, and you have to be eligible for it at your school, and Dr. Gilbert can go over any other specific details. But ultimately, these students usually reach out to a company, and then we contract with that company to enroll the student and then to monitor that piece.
Okay. Do we ever get students from some of the local businesses who are bringing people in for, a year's worth of training or a year's worth of internship or something like that, who have families that might be coming to our schools?
Some of those might be there, and Dr. Gilbert might know the specifics on individuals, but mostly they're usually students without their parents, because usually if they're coming in with their parents, they become enrolled because they have a form of residency, they're living here, there's different pieces. So usually it's students who are coming over, staying with someone else, I believe, not as an exchange student, but actually as a tuition student, like they're coming over to select, kind of like you're going to college. And you're selecting our school to go to school at. Dr. Gilbert, is there anything I'm missing on that?
No, you're exactly right. And it is usually without their parents because they have to go through the states in order to be able to come to school with us, and we're required to charge tuition. Hamilton is our only school that actually accepts students on tuition. It's an extensive process, and you have to be approved by the federal government in order to do that. And so they review what the school is, how it's set up, what's done in the district. And so because Hamilton is the only school in our district that has been approved for that, that's the only school that can do it.
Are they coming over and staying with relatives or something like that?
I'm sorry.
Are the students coming and staying with relatives, or they can't just come here and rent a house by themselves, right?
No, it could be relatives, it could be friends of family, but in order to even come in to go to school, they're going to have to get a visa to be able to do that.
And usually I think the company helps with all those pieces too, through which each of those families are usually in contact with. Is that correct?
Okay. It seems a very niche type educational program. So, all right. If there's no other questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have the school district annual expenditure budget, and Mrs. Berry will present that.
Great. Madam President, members of the board, in accordance with Arizona Statute ARS 15-905E, a school district must revise its budget prior to December 15, 2022. Revision of the 22-23 fiscal year budget is necessary to adjust the ADM and fund balances. The changes reflect the adjustment for ADM and the carryover of unexpended 21-22 maintenance and operation and unrestricted capital budgets. Attached is the budget revision number 1 and an explanation of the predominant reasons for the adjustment. So tonight we're going to be asking you to recommend to approve the revision. Now, you'll see one more revision. As you know, we did the budget in June, and you adopted it in July. And so there is a PowerPoint that's attached to here, but I'm just going to go over slide 11, and then the details for you, if you want to dive into something about the explanation of each one, are attached if you want to go back and go through the specific numbers. You're going to see all of our major fund areas. So maintenance and operations, as you know, is our largest fund. When you adopted the budget in July, it was for $365 million. The budget tonight that you will be asked to approve will be $367 million. So that's an increase of $2 million. That's made up of a number of things. One, our ADM has decreased by approximately 353 ADM. That's not bodies or people in seats. That's ADM, which sometimes can be greater depending on weights of students, K through 12, special needs, all of those things. So we have a reduction in that. As you know, our K through 6 has been declining. 7th through 8th is holding a little bit of a decline in a couple areas, and then our 9th through 12th is growing. But overall, a reduction in ADM. Our special education is growing, mostly due to the new classification of free and reduced category, but also some of the high needs area that Dr. Marshall and her staff evaluate and work with our students in a number of areas. So there was an increase in our special ed weights in a number of areas. Our gifted is slightly up, but then our K3 and our reading is because they're related to K-3 students is down. So overall, our sped numbers are up. And then we have a increase in our carryover from last year to this year due to, which I'll talk about later, our federal and state grants as we moved expenditures into those federal and state grants that allowed us to carry over additional funds in our maintenance and operations. So they're between the loss of ADM, the increase in sped, and the increase in carryover, you see an overall increase in maintenance and operations. On the unrestricted capital fund, you're going to see that our budget was $43 million. It's now $41,965,000, a decrease of $1.3 million. Most of that, again, we projected what we thought our carryover was. Majority of that 1.3 was just that we actually expensed more than we thought at the very end when we did our projected carryover. So it's just based on expenses actually going through, receiving some of the items we didn't think we were going to get in, we actually got in, and we're able to pay those bills by the end of August. So our estimate was a little bit shorter than compared to what we actually spent. So it was a decrease of $1.3 million. Classroom site fund is up. You're going to see that. It went from $67 million. It's at $68 million, an increase of $500,000. Again, just based on carryover mostly and interest on those areas for $533,000. The largest change were in the next two areas, federal and state projects and other funds. But federal and state projects, the budget we projected, again, it's our best estimate in June. We don't finalize our reports for federal projects until October after the AFR is finished. So the decrease is $7.8 million. And if you were to look on the line item, the majority of that is in all of those federal funds that were received through ESSER, through COVID. And most of those we were just expensing and all of the ESSER 1, ESSER 2, some of ESSER 3, the GAP funding, all of the additional funding sources, EPU, all those funding sources that we received. We expense those out. It's part of the reason you saw an extra carryover in M&O. On the other fund, the one's called other funds, there's multiple funds within that. We went from a budget of $103 million, and now the budget in this revision is $114 million, so an increase of $10.6 million. Majority of that is our food service account, as we had an increase in that. We haven't finished our construction projects. As you know, we did extremely well in food service due to majority of our kids eating because of universal free lunch. That's changed this year, and actually got some great news today about our free students. It used to be last year, all students ate if they came for breakfast, lunch, no matter if you were free, reduced, or on paid. But this year we're back to free, reduced, and paid. But today we got some information. The federal government tried to do it to where it was just free, and they eliminated reduced. That didn't go through, but our state took that on today and said that all reduced students would also be free. So, but there are some changes, but ultimately food service increased by a chunk, community ed, civic center also increased slightly. And then our SFB grant, we just received some additional dollars this year for building renewal. So that increased. So we just updated some of those numbers. So that overall amount is $10.6 million. So overall, our budget that we had approved back in June and that you adopted in July was $647 million. If you take our 60 plus funds all together. It increased by about $4 million when you take all those funds added together, and our ending revised budget, if you took every fund we have, is $651 million. As you know, we're the second largest school district in the state with 5,000 employees, and so there's a lot of operational things going on in our district, and I'm really thankful for leadership from the past, and you've got Joel Worth up here for years that put us in a good financial state so we're not having to make major budget cuts in the middle of the year like other school districts are right now. So we're very fortunate at this point to have a fiscally healthy budget, and we're asking for your approval tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. Could I get a motion, please?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 district annual expenditure budget revision number 1.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments for Mrs. Berry or about the budget?
Good job.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no questions or comments, all those in favor of approving the 2022-23 district annual expenditure budget revision number 1, please say aye.
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 The motion carries. Next, we'll move on to the architectural and engineering consulting for synthetic turf at 6 high school stadium fields. Mr. Tom Dunn will be presenting.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. The district seeks to contract with Lloyd Sports and Engineering for the purpose of planning, design, development of construction documents and engineering for new synthetic turf at all 6 high school stadium fields. Recommend approval of Lloyd Sports and Engineering in amount of $780,000 via one GPA contract.
Thank you. Could I please get a motion on this?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve Lloyd Sports and Engineering in the amount of $780,000 for planning, design, development of construction documents, and engineering for the new synthetic turf at all 6 high school stadium fields.
Second.
All right, are there any questions or comments for Mr. Dunn? Yes, Ms.
No questions, but I definitely thank you for going over this in our board planning session to kind of help us understand it. And I'm very excited about this and how this is going to be environmentally efficient too and help with saving some water there as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Love, I think it's a lot of water. So, not enough, but yes, it is definitely a lot.
Lev, I think you bring up a good point there, and the city is doing you'll notice various cities are doing their effort of coming up with Tier 1 and Tier 2 plans for water conservation. I know Ms. Bruner talked about us looking at sustainability efforts in there. And so they really did a nice job of seeing what that savings would be over time and us doing our part to make sure that we're part of the solution as well. As we've heard that city parks are going more towards synthetic surfaces, if you can imagine the amount of square footage that they're trying to cover with water consumption. So it has many advantages other than the obvious of saving labor costs on those fields over time. So thank you all for having that focus as we move forward.
Mr. Dunn, I do have a couple of questions that I started thinking about after we talked about this. So I know that, there's a lot less maintenance on a synthetic turf than there is on grass turf. There's no cutting, there's no striping, there's a lot less water, and there's no trying to soften up the ground, the hard ground underneath it. But what kind of maintenance is required for those fields?
Right, so it's not no maintenance for sure. We do have to water it on a regular basis, especially during competition or prior to competition, because they are a little warmer than natural turf. So there will be some water that's applied 2 to 3 hours prior to competitions. But from there, we need to brush it. They have these machines that will get to brush the turf 3 times a week, most likely. And then any large trash needs to be picked up, those types of things. Once a year, we'd go through and there's infill, and I can present this when we get closer to actually doing construction, but there's infill that goes in the turf, so combination of rubber, sand, and like a geofill that helps with the cooling technology. That has to be replaced anywhere from 3 to 10% per year. You're probably going to lose, so you have to go back and maintain that each year.
Okay. And you mentioned that the synthetic turf is definitely hotter than natural turf.
It is
so
a
is
little
there
warmer.
So the water, is that a built-in system? It's like a cooling system almost for it?
Right,
or?
so there's a number of way to apply the water. So water cannons, you have some water wagons that would, wheels that would potentially go over the turf that help the infill cool itself, and then through evaporation, it cools the turf.
Okay. And my other note here was the cleaning process of the turf, and you said it gets brushed, and that then removes all of the like little pieces of sticks and debris that blow in, and leaves
Correct.
and things like that
Correct.
that might blow in.
And then typically twice a year, you take like a big magnet across any type of metal clips off of helmets or pads or hairpins, those kinds of things. It'll pick those up as well.
Okay. So, are there any other questions? Mr. Olive?
I just had one on the one GPA contract. There's not a copy of the contract in here. They referenced the contract, but it's not here. It's based on percentage of construction, right?
Yes, yes. So they're about 6.5% at $2 million per field.
Okay. Yeah. When we have these one GPAs, when you bring them in the future, can we get a copy of the contract or a copy of, so we can see what percentage they're getting paid on the contract?
Absolutely. And I can provide this contract to you as well.
Yeah, it's a game that some people can play with 1 GPA contracts. There's different difficulties and complications in the amount, because if you have a job that's like a roof job and you're an architect, you don't have to give a lot of money to a civil engineer and a structural engineer and a plumbing engineer and a mechanical engineer. You get to keep all the money. With these guys, they're just doing some civil engineering, and it's, and then the rest of it's carpet. So the complication in those contracts, there's different levels of percentages that they get paid, and I wouldn't mind seeing that.
You bet. Part of what they're going to do as well is help us select the turf. So there's 6 to 7 companies nationally that all have different technology and different infills, and so part of what they're going to do, we've got a team of athletic directors, coaches from each high school that are going to come in, and Lloyd is going to educate us on the turf that's out there, and then that committee is going to be selecting what turf is best for Chandler Unified and its student athletes.
Okay, just to make sure we're paying for the level of service that they have to provide is the reason I asked the question.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor of approving Lloyd Sports and Engineering in the amount of $780,000 for planning, design, development of construction documents and engineering for new synthetic turf at all 6 high schools, please say aye.
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 The motion carries. Next, we have an item concerning LED conversion at Anderson and Jacobson Elementary Schools, CTA Humphrey Campus, Anderson and Bogle Junior High Schools. Mr. Dunn.
Yes, in the same line of being energy efficient, we recommend to the administration recommending conversion of the 5 schools from T12 fluorescent lamps and electronic ballast to LED lamps and LED drivers. Recommend approval of Verigy via 1 GPA contract in the amount of $1,902,386.
Is there a motion for this item?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the contract with Vergy to, I said that correctly, right?
You're great.
Okay, Vergy to convert the lighting at 5 schools to LED lamps and drivers in the amount of $1,902,386.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Dunn?
Did you guys do the math on what the payback is or number of years?
Yeah, I have that. It's just under 5 years.
It's under the, it was in the attachment.
Attachment, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had a little question on that. When they did start looking at the payback period, it says total project cost savings. And I was wondering, is that for 5 years or is it for 1 year, or in that column, what was the time period? Because it didn't specify.
Yeah, it's just under 5 years on average.
Okay. So then these would be roughly, if that's 5 years, then we're looking at the total cost savings is an annual savings that's in that column then.
Correct. And then every year after that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, in that table that they have, the exterior lights are a longer payback because you don't get any rebates for those. You only get rebates for the interior lights.
And we qualify for rebates? And we qualify for rebates of some type?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Is Verigy taking care of the rebates, or is it a different company?
Yeah, it might be a third party. I haven't worked that out with them yet.
All right. If there's no other comments or questions, all those in favor of approving the contract with Verigy to convert the lighting at 5 schools to LED lamps and drivers in the amount of $1,902,386, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. And our last item is for architectural and engineering fees for Galveston Elementary School rebuild.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. The district intends to rebuild Galveston Elementary School. The replacement school will be approximately 67,500 square feet with a capacity for 750 students. The district has selected Orcott Winslow to be the architect, and their proposal fee is $1,275,750, with an estimated construction cost of $23,625,000. Their proposed fee is 5.4% of the construction budget. Construction is estimated to begin in the summer of 2023, with the replacement school being ready for the 2024-2025 school year. Recommend approval of Orcott Winslow via one GPA contract in the amount of $1,275,750 for architect and engineering fees for Galveston Elementary School replacement.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Could I please get a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve Orcutt Winslow for architecture and engineering fees for the Galveston Elementary School rebuild in the amount of $1,275,750.
Second.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Dunn?
I do have
Yes,
one.
Mr. Olive.
I do have one question on this one. So they did this on a percentage of a budget on the construction, and I think their projected budget is lower than it should be, but that's just my opinion from what I've seen lately. But if the budget does end up being higher, they put this on a percentage of their estimate. Do we have to pay them more money?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of a open answer. Not necessarily.
Well,
It's a yes or a no.
Well, I think if they presented us a change order that was legitimate based on either design or cost of construction, increased scope that we didn't have in the original fee, then I think it would be warranted.
Right, an added scope, and if you make them do more work, it's
Correct.
It's legitimate to pay them more money. But if it just is more expensive than they thought it was going to be
Then no.
at this percentage, then they don't get any extra money?
Correct.
Okay.
The thing that's frustrating to me, back in the day, change orders were nightmares, and they were purposely used to generate more income. It makes me nervous, but.
So change orders, when we get to actual construction, with CM at risk, it's eliminated the change orders, because that's where they were a nightmare, because they wouldn't do work until you paid the change order. But CM at risk has eliminated a lot of change orders. And typically with architects, as Mr. Olive could attest, the time we do see change orders is when construction costs increase and they want to base their fee off the percentage.
Madam President, members of the board, just a little update on the project and the scope of the project tonight. I know we shared it at the planning session, but Mr. Akala and the Galveston staff, along with our district staff, will be working with Orcutt Winslow and working with the community and the staff to imagine what Galveston's needs are in the community as well. So there'll be plenty of community input as we move forward. And staff input as to reimagining what educational needs are there for the Galveston community, and what education could look like for our students. And so we're really excited to go in the systems design thinking phase of how we create schools around educational need, community service needs, and what the community really needs in their school. So this will be our first school that is going to be run this way, and we're looking forward to getting the input and working directly with Orcutt Winslow and utilizing that information as we move forward as well.
A quick question. Our Galveston currently has a capacity of how many students?
That's a great question. I think it's just under 60,000 square feet, so it is about 750 students.
And so it is about the same amount.
But their enrollment's, I think, just under that, 600, 500?
Correct. It's under 600.
Right.
And our preschools that are there also are Title I services that are there as well.
Right. Yes, I was just wanting to know what the capacity of Galveston is.
Capacity of the
currently.
current building is 750.
750. Okay, so it's pretty much the same size, and are we I mean, I know it's far from the design phase, but is so far an architectural phase, but are we thinking about a building or a school that's all under one roof, or are we thinking more along the lines of the types of schools that we currently have?
Yeah, so like Mr. Narducci said, this will be the first time that we've gone through this planning process where instruction is going to drive construction. In the past, we've just built schools and said, here's your school to teach in. And we really want instruction to have input, including the community, the teachers, the students as well, through this process to help understand what the needs are at that school, what's the instructional model at that school, and what does the space need to look like based on those needs. So and we will have regular board updates as we go through this. There's going to be 4 planning sessions with Mr. Alcala and his steering committee and team in Orcott Winslow in January. After that, we'll be able to come and provide you with some updates as to the information we're gathering from those steering committee meetings, and then provide you as well with schematic design as we take that information and put it to design. I think we're going to see a school much different than the last 12 schools that we've built, I'll be honest. I don't think it'll look anything like what we've built in the last 12 elementary schools.
Great. Mr. Worth.
So I'm assuming you show us the plans at some point, the board?
Absolutely, yes. As part of those updates, we'll show you all the schematic designs.
And will it be designed in such a way we can have portables?
We can certainly plan for portables.
I would think, I'm dreaming hopefully, but I'm hoping the enrollment will exceed that, so.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, if we're under 600, we built for 750, we certainly have room for growth right away.
It'd be nice if you can at least have the connections or whatever it would be so that can happen.
Yeah.
Ms. Worth, another part of this project, I really don't, I know you like the portables. I don't like them as much, especially with the fact that this design building is going to look 21st. What we're asking our people to think of is what education could be and how we can get prepared for our 21st century learners. And so it's going to be real dynamic in nature and real fluid in nature because of the information. So I think what we can do is make sure we have room for build out. Because when you talk portables, we start talking about more money to relocate and to get them qualified. But we'll come to the board with suggestions. The other part, though, that is really nice about the Galveston site is for the members in the audience in our community, is we have the Chandler Care Center that serves the broad-based Chandler community through their food subsidies. And we're looking at really doing a school community kind of build where the care center is connected right to the school, so that we're going to augment services at the care center that will really support that community and connect it to the construction at the school. So we have a great opportunity to do that at this location.
It's just my experience, when every high school we built, the population exceeded the building. And we need to plan for that potential and be foolish if we don't.
Absolutely.
Okay, then the last thing is, I want to really thank the district, because one of my big beliefs is we had our poorest schools in our lowest economics areas, and that was wrong, and we're fixing it. So I'm happy that we're going down that road.
Thank you. If there's no other comments or questions from anyone, we will go ahead and vote. All those who approve of the motion to have Orcutt Winslow for architect and engineering fees for the Galveston Elementary School rebuild, please say aye.
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 The motion carries. Now we will move on to our information items. Our first is the student activity, auxiliary operations, and tax credit reports. Mrs. Berry?
Madam President, members of the board, the student activity, auxiliary operations, and tax credit reports for the months ending July of 2022 through November of 2022 are provided for your review.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. Are there any questions or comments on these? I guess this is also a good time to mention that it is getting near the end of the year, and If you are inclined to donate and get a tax credit donation to some of our schools, we definitely have various schools throughout the district that could use those tax credit monies for various programs at their schools. And if you have any questions about how to donate, it is on our website. And I think you can also call the office if you have a problem, or if you have any problems figuring out how to make a donation. Our next is our board agenda roadmap. And there is an addition to this. There is going to be a very, very short special meeting on January 11th that will be covering just electing the board president and vice president and installing our the new members of the board, and they will take a public oath of office here in the boardroom at that time. I believe that meeting might be a little bit earlier in the day, so that probably around 5 o'clock, I'm guessing. Okay. So I just wanted to make people aware of it, and it will be done on YouTube also. It will be available on YouTube. And then our full board meeting, our next one will be January 18th. And we will be looking at some of the Prop 301 pay for performance and have our public hearing. And I think that's be doing some employee salary and super Q work. So January 18th is the next full board meeting. Next is our superintendent comments. Mr.
I'd love to go
Narducci.
first.
No, superintendent comments.
Well, if I don't go,
Frank goes first.
If I don't go, I'm never going to get a word in edgewise. So
I would have known that, Joel. I would
I'll
have shown
call
up
on you,
tonight.
Joel.
That's fine. The governing board members is so much has happened since we last met, and I'm excited to share with you many of the updates. Under student successes, we recognized our championships teams, but one team whose championship title came in just after our deadline to get this board meeting going was Basha High School. We'll invite them to the next meeting, but Basha High School won their first ever football state championship this last Saturday night. The Bears took on the... Thank you. The Bears took on the SaberCats of Scottsdale Saguaro High School and beat them 28-21. With their win, the Bears were named the Arizona Open Division state champions, and what an exciting game it was. And Basha Nation represented very well. It was probably like a 3-1 in attendance and just filled the whole side. It was just neat to see. Our congratulations are necessary not only for our football team, but for our marching band and our palm and cheer and every coach and every advisor and every prep person that was out there to make it happen. So it was just amazing, amazing event. For Hamilton ACP High School Air Force Junior ROTC cadets, who you can see up here on the screen, have been selected for the Air Force Chief of Staff Private Pilot Scholarship Program. Hamilton High School juniors Cooper Morgan, Michael Shin, and Paris Thompson, and ACP High School junior Liam McMaster were identified in the December 2022 announcement from Headquarters Air Force JROTC. This highly competitive scholarship, valued at over $22,500, is an all-expense paid flight training and college course credit program conducted during the summer at 25 select partner universities across the country. 100,000 plus cadets attending 850 high schools across the country and at Department of Defense installations worldwide apply for this. 15 of these students are from Arizona. Portrait of a Learner, just an update. I'd like to share another Portrait of a Learner example. I was at Jacobson Elementary School recently, and I saw this bulletin board. Jacobson staff recognized students exhibiting one of the 6 Portrait of a Learner attributes. A picture of the recognized student is placed on the bulletin board for all staff to see. As we head into the new year, I'm excited to show you even more examples of how Portrait of a Learner is being incorporated into our schools in action. Under enrollment, we are the heart of enrollment season. We are in the heart of enrollment season right now. Open enrollment opens on January 9th, and registration for in-boundary students begins January 11th. Please, community, help us spread the word. When somebody moves into your community, tell them about Chandler Schools and make sure they understand those dates, January 9th and January 11th. CUSD is known for our menu of school options, and we're excited to help new families find perfect fits for their students. And if they need help finding that perfect fit, they can call my office. Sorry, Donna, but we will find them a concierge of services that will clear up where they possibly can go and give them more information. So don't let not knowing about options deter you. We will help you with that. It's also tax credit season, and I know you mentioned that, Barb. Thank you. We encourage you to consider making a public school tax credit contribution to a CUSD school. Here's a quick video on the value of these contributions.
Hello, I'm Chandler Superintendent Frank Narducci. This is a special edition of our Superintendent's Focus series. The focus of this video is on Arizona Public School tax credit. Are you passionate about supporting public education? If yes, please consider making a tax credit contribution to a Chandler Unified School today. A tax credit contribution can help fund amazing student learning experiences in the areas like theater, fine arts, athletics, math, reading, science, and so much more. Your contributions have sent students on unforgettable field trips and paid for uniforms and equipment. Tax credit contributions grow enrichment experiences at schools that may not already have them. Tax credit contributions also give our students memories and enhance education for all students. How does it work? By making a tax credit contribution, you can reduce what is owed to the state in taxes or increase what you receive back in a state tax refund. Any Arizona taxpayer can take advantage of the public school tax credit. You do not have to have their child in Chandler schools, so encourage your family, your friends, and your neighbors to contribute. Contributions for the 2022 tax year can be made until April 15th, 2023. This is a great opportunity to help any Chandler school. To donate, just head to our website. Under the About Us tab, you will see tax credit donations. Please consider contributing today.
Thank you, Stephanie. He said it much better than I did. And lastly, these are always hard things to do because goodbyes are always hard. This is the final board meeting for two of our board members. Although leaving the board, we will be tapping into their knowledge and skills moving forward. Both Laura Bruner and Lindsay Love are completing their 4th year of service to our schools and community. Serving as public school board members is a commendable task, and over the past years, it can be said an arduous one as well. Not many individuals sign up to serve as an elected, non-paid position while dedicating hundreds of hours a year preparing for meetings, attending meetings, and supporting both school and community events in your role. You have helped us maneuver through a worldwide pandemic, which was one of the most difficult times in recent history for schools and school board members across this nation. Through it all, your focus on students being connected to quality learning and quality teaching is to be admired. We are grateful for your insight, ideas, dedication, and advocacy for all children. You have helped us build systems of support for every child who attends Chandler schools to have a pathway to success. We would like to present you both with a gift that shows our appreciation for your service. I have to get this right because there's something engraved on them. So Donnie gave me a cheat sheet. Sure. Yes. Where would you like that photo? Okay. We still clap.
So Joel, I think you had some comments.
I do. I apologize.
We'll start with you.
You do a great job on your comments. I apologize. I just want to say I respect those people that care and are passionate in what is important to them. And both Laura and Lindsay, you care, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Joel. I think I'd like to have Mrs. Bruner and Ms. Love speak next. Mrs. Bruner, why don't you start first, and then...
Sure. I don't have a lot to say. I just wanted to thank all the district administration for being so willing to listen to me. I have a lot of opinions as a 31-year teacher about a lot of things, and I know it isn't always the way everything happened here at Chandler, and I really appreciate people being open to hearing possibilities. And I also wanted to thank the support staff at all the sites and the administration at the sites and the teachers who do this amazing work every day. It's my hope that CUSD will continue the progress that was made in the last 4 years with technology, with staff input processes, revisiting the teacher salary schedule, special education, teacher workload, and social and emotional health supports for our students. I encourage the next board, both new and returning members, to hear from students and families at our public input events directly, and at school events, and just have conversations with those folks, and to visit the sites to listen one-on-one with our support staff, with our administrators, and especially with those in the classroom every day, so that you have a better view of when you vote what the impact will be on our students. And I'm just so thankful for this service opportunity, and very appreciative to everyone for being so willing to consider new ideas and, move forward. Thank you.
Ms. Love.
I wish I had planned better. But I do want to thank all staff, board members, students, parents, and community members, especially those who spoke tonight. I'm honored, to have served in this position. And I think hearing from our students tonight made me a little weepy, because I do remember that moment from one of our students where he did email us and he was terrified. And I remember that moment of handing him his diploma and seeing him shine during his speech, and being able to see him shine afterwards. And I really hope that you run for public office one day, and carry on the tradition of having a husky at the dais, as Ms. Serrano is going to. Being a Black school board member is tough, and there certainly aren't enough of us serving in that position. When I was a Black Alliance president, I think I met most of us, and you could count us all on one hand. We get labeled as radical for things that just kind of seem good and sound practice, and, like caring for people. Certainly people have run campaigns this school board cycle against that, which is interesting. I was asked recently to think of how the two generations behind me impacted me, and how I would impact 7 generations in front of me. And that's a very heavy task, right? I grew up surrounded by so many strong people particularly strong women who were healers. One of my great-grandmothers was a midwife, though she could not read. My mom's a nurse, by fierce community leaders. Both of my grandmothers could be counted on when you were hungry. You could show up to their home and they give you a plate and give you a hug and, you know, maybe give you some advice that you didn't know that you needed. Right? They were caregivers for their community. They were loud, they were sharp-tongued, they were loving. They sang, and I just remember them all being funny, and they still are. They got things done, and recently I learned that my great-grandfather built the first colored school in his area. He was a sharecropper who could not read, and he built that school to ensure that my grandmother and her siblings had a place to go to school so that they could read, they could write, and they could become something bigger than my great-grandparents' wildest dreams. And they did, leading to my grandmother graduating from high school, my mother graduating from college, and my father, first generation, and then eventually me graduating from grad school and sitting on the board of a district where I graduated from high school. And so I am proud of that lineage, and I carry that legacy with me. And I hope that I've planted those seeds in our district for my niece who currently attends school in this district. She was just getting into kindergarten when I won and served. And I went through this journey to make it easier for her and to make it easier for folks like Patti Serrano to run and win in her election and serve in this district. I have been on Patty to run for school board for years. She's been a fierce advocate. She's got a son who attends this district, and I really wanted to see a Latinx mom on this dais, and I'm so proud of you, Patty, and I'm proud to get to see you get sworn in. And I hope that more young people of color and young people will run and serve in their communities and in this community, because we have some untapped talent in this community. And I definitely saw it during COVID and during this last election, getting to canvass with some of you, getting to hear so many of your ideas. And I'm proud to have been the radical person to ignite that change within our district and see our students go on to become something greater than my wildest dreams. So thank you.
Mr. Olive, do you have any comments this evening? Do you have any comments, Mr. Olive?
Yeah, but I didn't think I'd have to go after Lindsay. So I had two things. One, to thank you guys very much and to wish you well. It's been an honor to be here with you. So thank you very much. Second thing is more of a business item. On the tax credits, before when I've tried to do tax credits, we of course wanted to make our tax credit go to our kids' classroom or to our kids' dance class or something like that. And if we did the tax credits at the school before school got out, we could do that, but it was a little bit harder to direct the funds if we just went online. Is that still kind of the case?
Yes, it's probably more difficult to go to a specific student because there's fees associated with your student when your student is in school. Is that what you're asking about?
Right, or just to individual classrooms or more specific programs inside schools.
Sure, you can go directly to the site and ask for it to go to a specific program of that, but online we usually direct you to a school and it donates towards that school.
Toward the whole school, yeah.
Yes.
So anybody thinking about doing those donations, think about that and get those done early so you can direct things more like you want them.
Thank you for that. That's true.
I also would like to thank Lindsay and Laura for all of the giving of their time and their talents to this school board. Your dedication to students and their well-being is admirable, and we truly appreciate the advocacy that you have for those students and staff. Thank you so much for all the time that you have put in this job. I know it's not easy. It takes a lot, and you really have to give it all, your all, and your heart has to be in it. And I truly see that both of you have had your hearts in this, in the district, and for the welfare of kids, of students. I want to thank you so much for that dedication and all that you have done on the school board in the last 4 years. So thank you so much. With that, I hope everyone has, this is our last meeting of the year. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season, and that our staff get some well-needed rest during the holidays and are ready to come back in January refreshed and happy. And so please, everyone, enjoy yourselves over your holiday, and best wishes for everybody in the new year. We'll see you next year.